Now, before we get into it, a quick recap of Stranger Things Season 4. Hopper breaks out of Russia prison with a broken foot somehow. We get introduced to Vecna, who has been controlling the Upside Down this whole time. The Strange Gang thinks they kill him, but he gets away, of course. Max practically dies, but comes back because
I'm 11, so shut the fuck up.
Nancy and Jonathan's relationship seems to be barely hanging on. Will is gay. Robin meets her future wifey. Eddie is dead. And the season ends with Hawkins on fire. Obviously, more stuff happened, but those are the main things that will be kind of called back to possibly in what I'm about to present to you. And I present to you how to end Stranger Things. Aaron's version. Step 1. Give Will a haircut. Step 2. Hopper should tell the US about all the Russia stuff and how they're involved with the Upside Down. The US should then nuke Russia. But that wouldn't be fair because the Upside Down is what started this all, so we find a portal to the Upside Down and then we nuke the Upside Down. I guess that was step 4. But there's a twist. Vecna wasn't in the Upside Down when it got nuked. So right now, Vecna is missing in action. Okay, now all the dumb parts are out of the story, so let's get to what the show should have been after season 1. A small town murder mystery. Now you guys might be a little confused right now, and I'm gonna give a little context to why we need this. Stranger Things season 1 was a great season, and I think it had a great ending. No offense to Millie Bobby Brown's career, but I think 11 should have died in season 1, and that should have just been it. Fuck the waffles, bro. Look, the best part of this show is the characters. The characters are 10 out of 10. Even though I think the show has gone downhill in terms of like the overall plot, I still love these characters so much. The characters are the only really good thing left in the show, in my opinion. Now, the main reason why I want it to be a murder mystery is because I think the weakest part of the show as it's been going along since season 2, 3, and 4, I think the Upside Down stuff has gotten less interesting, and I think the Russia plot is really stupid. Oh yeah, Russia's gonna have like underground tunnels in Hawkins. Yeah, sure. To me, it's really stupid writing, and I think Vecna being in control of the whole Upside Down this whole time was totally not like a plan at all. It's clear that they're writing this as they go. Oh, Vecna was the god all along? Yeah, just suck my toe. So now you're like, Aaron, why do we gotta turn this into a small town murder mystery? Isn't that kind of far-fetched? I mean, let's not act like I just didn't bring up the Russia plot. This show was very far-fetched, so if it's gonna go far-fetched, it might as well be really cool. So in order to make the small town mystery, we need to kind of connect from season 4 and how we're gonna get there. So I'm gonna do what every great writer does. A time skip. We're gonna start a year later, and there's footage of Hawkins being rebuilt because, like I said, in the last season it ended with Hawkins on fire. So Hawkins is for the most part rebuilt, and right now it is a tourist attraction because obviously this made global news. There's no way they're hiding that level of destruction in Hawkins. So because of this, we also learned that the Stranger Things cast, aka the Strange Gang, is what I'm gonna call them. So the Strange Gang are now celebrities. They're really popular right now. A lot of people see them as heroes, but also a lot of people think that they're awful people for not letting this be publicly known about the whole Upside Down thing, and like everything's their fault since they didn't tell the world earlier. It's not gonna dive too much into that, but it makes things kind of interesting. So where are all of our characters a year later? Well, with the fame, Will starts dating a hot e-boy and they do TikTok dances together. We need to give Will something good in his life for once. Mike and 11 are together, but Mike is trying to do music full time and he isn't the best at it. 11 wants to tell him that he kind of sucks but is afraid of starting a fight. Nancy is no longer with Jonathan because Jonathan was unfortunately on vacation in Russia when the nuke hit. Steve rizzes Nancy back after the news of Jonathan turning into dust. Steve is a nice guy, but he's really happy that Jonathan died, which makes him a little unhinged. Joyce and Hopper are now engaged, but Hopper fan accounts are making dad bod fan cams and they're doing numbers, so Joyce is dealing with severe jealousy. Dustin is a full-on weeb now. Lucas and Max are together, and Max is writing a novel about her experiences with the Upside Down. She's about to make a bag, and Lucas is still playing basketball. Wow, what a cool guy. Eddie is still dead. We only see Robin one time this season because she moved to Switzerland and is living the lesbian cottage dream life. Dope stuff. The new character this season is gonna be me because I feel like I can bring this sort of cool, mysterious guy vibe, kind of like Cole Sprouse on that podcast. And finally, Erica is now a Twitch streamer. So where does the story take place and who got murdered? The story takes place in a small town in Canada, a population of only 800 people. It's kind of a forest mountain area. That's the vibe. The Strange Gang want to get away from all the press, so all the main characters meet up for a week vacation where everyone just hangs out again as a gang with no press down their necks. There's 2 houses that they stay at. House 1 is the kids and Mike's parents. House 2 is Joyce, Hopper, Nancy, and Steve. So who gets murdered? Well, on the second day into the trip, Mike's dad will go out on the back cabin deck for a quick cigarette. His view is a field of grass and crops and then a forest in the distance. And in this field, there's a scarecrow. Then, since Mike's dad sucks, he accidentally drops his cigarette on the floor. So then he reaches down to pick up the cigarette and then relights it. He blows out the smoke and looks into the field, but the scarecrow is no longer there. We cut to the side of the dad's face, and all of a sudden we see a scarecrow hand cover his mouth, and we hear him being stabbed to death. Mike's dad is now dead. Now I know what you're thinking, Aaron, this is obviously Vecna because you said earlier that he is missing in action. But this isn't true because we got news that a lady in Ohio spotted Vecna. So then the US says, oh shit, and then we nuke Ohio. We don't need it anyway. Anyways, Mike is gonna end up finding his dad's dead body because Mike doesn't have enough trauma versus the other kids. So Mike does the obvious, yells for help, then the police come. Then obviously the town hears about it and then they hold a town meeting. So now I'm seated and I'm suited up because we are about to get down to the nitty gritty. By the way, so you guys picture it in your head a bit better, Mike's dad died at 7 p.m. the second day that they were there. And this town hall meeting is the next morning at 9 a.m. I just need to say that so you guys can picture the town hall meeting during the day. Now in this town hall meeting, we meet new characters, including my character. We meet Aaron, played by me. By the way, I'm not actually trying to be like a really cool, mysterious dude or anything. I'm just kind of a normal guy. And I know what you guys might be thinking. Aaron, if you wrote yourself into this, you're probably the killer. Look, I'm in this for the fan cams, okay? I'm like the Weeknd on the Idol red carpet. So pretty much my character just approaches the Strange Gang and I'm just kind of like, yo, I know you don't know me, but sorry about your loss. That is messed up stuff. And then another character that's going to be doing this as well is going to be a character called Susan. I'm not going to be like, oh, Susan is played by blah blah blah, because I actually like how Stranger Things usually casts new characters as kind of like nobodies or people that don't have, you know, super big star power. So I'm literally just going to put a photo of Susan from Narnia on screen, and we will learn more about her later. Someone else who approaches the Strange Gang is a priest, the only priest of this little small town, and he pretty much just goes up to them and says, yo, sorry about your loss. I'll be praying on you, for you. And then we'll get another new character, Chloe, who is going to be an alternative emo girl, because we need emo girl representation. And she's just like, sorry about your loss. So the Strange Gang is very suspicious about everyone who approached them saying sorry for your loss. It is a very small town. It kind of makes sense. So pretty much the mayor speaks at the town hall and says, hey, this case is not going to be public yet. We want to see if we can solve it within the next 24 hours because it's a really small town. Because if the press hears about this, every news station and possible journalist is going to fly out to Canada and they're going to ruin the whole thing. It's going to turn into a complete chaos. It's just going to be constant interviews because, like I said, the Strange Gang are celebrities now. The Strange Gang doesn't really like the idea at first, but then Hopper's like, don't worry guys, I'm going to be working with the town's sheriff department and we're going to solve this thing within 24 hours. There's only 800 people that live in this town. And while this is happening in the town hall, we're going to get a scene of Mike's mom, and she's going to be like, we need to get out of this town. We need to get out of here. But the police is like, yo, you guys can't leave yet. We need to interview everyone in the house. We don't think you did it or anything, but it's just typical protocol. They also say that they're going to send armed guards at their houses so they're safe. So the town hall meeting ends and we get a scene of the Strange Gang just hanging out in a group outside of the town hall. Mike is really pissed about his dad's death and he wants revenge and he wants to go out and solve it with the gang himself. He wants to find this killer. But Max is like, yo, it's way too dangerous. Let's not do this. Let's not get involved. Let the cops do what they do. But then while they're in their little huddle, like Steve and like Dustin and Will are gonna bring up a point that's like, hey, we've literally faced Vecna. We can catch a small town killer. So Max stays kind of quiet and she's not really in support of it, but she goes along with them anyway. Then out of nowhere, boom! Eleven gets shot. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, here's where we're at. So we got the Strange Gang teaming up to interview people and look for clues. Hopper is working with the town's police, and Joyce is trying to comfort Mike's mom. Remember Susan from earlier? Dustin sees her leaving the town hall meeting, and Dustin goes and approaches her to start questioning her on the town lore. So this is what we learn from Susan. The town hasn't had a murder in over 60 years. The only violent crimes are bar fights. Everyone knows each other literally by name. This is important. Susan suspects it's the mayor that did this because he wants to bring attention to their town. Maybe the no press thing was just a temporary cover-up to make himself look less suspicious. Because obviously the news will eventually get out that a murder did happen there and it is connected to the Strange Gang. And then in a week from now they're gonna have like tourists and like news press, and then, you know, obviously that's gonna bring business to the town. So that's Susan's theory. Anyways, we cut to the police because they have a new somewhat of a lead. They found a straw at the murder scene where Mike's dad was stabbed. Obviously the straw is from the Scarecrow. Another thing that they found is the way that Mike's dad was stabbed was done with intense force, which means it's most likely a strong, bulky man. So right off the bat, the Strange Gang are not suspects because look at them. So since the straw is their main lead, they are going to go interview a local farmer because straw. Anyways, we cut back to the town hall and then we get like a quick little scene with like an officer that's like, hey, let them know that they can go back home now. They're no longer under suspicion. So they break the news to the kids and they break the news to Joyce, but Joyce is like, hey, I was comforting Mike's mom like a few minutes ago, but now I cannot find her. I don't know where she is. So then the Strange Gang starts freaking out and they're coming up with a plan to go separate and go find her. And then my character is walking by while hearing all this commotion and I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, yo, Mike's mom is missing. And then my character is going to be like, okay, let me help. And then we're going to have like a little montage of the kids splitting up in like groups of 2 or 3, and they're gonna be spreading out and they're gonna be asking, yo, have you seen her, blah blah blah. And then we're gonna cut to the inside of a church, and in this church we see Mike's mom, and she's just sitting on a bench at the church. The church is completely empty. It's not a Sunday, and it's just her in there sitting in there alone, and her head is down like this, and then she's like so we have a shot of her like crying in her hands in the church, and then behind her we see the church door open, and the person that is walking into the church is me. So then I go and approach her and I'm like, excuse me, I know you want to be alone right now, but the town is looking for you and you're good to go home. And then she's gonna be like, okay, but she's still having a moment and she's not getting up and she's still just, you know, trying to like process her emotions. So then I see that this is happening, and then I sit down next to her and then I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I know losses are hard. I lost my best friend last year. And then after that comment, she's gonna nod her head and then she's gonna say, I'm not crying because it's hard. I'm crying because I'm relieved. And then I'm gonna be like, oh, we were amazing together until we got married. And then everything became so dull. I feel like our love died long ago. Oh, and I just feel guilty for feeling this way. And then I'm just sitting next to her like, it'll be okay. And then I give her like a little back rub to comfort her. Then we cut back to the officers. Hopper and the officers are now interviewing the farmer. They're like, explain this straw, where'd it come from? And the farmer's like, man, I don't know. So the officers and Hopper don't have any luck. They really don't have any lead besides the straw, and it's kind of a dead end right now. So after this scene, we're cutting to 3 people. Dustin, Steve, and Nancy. So they're a group right now that's just going around the town looking for Mike's mom, asking around, blah, blah, blah. And then an officer is going to approach them and be like, hey, have you and your friends got any new, like, pickups or leads? And then Steve's like, no, like, no one said anything, not even Aaron. And then the officer is going to be like, wait, who's Aaron? And then Dustin's eyes are going to shoot open. Then we cut back to the church with me and Mike's mom. Her head is on my shoulder and I'm still comforting her. And then my character says, you know, it's kind of a good thing that you're relieved about his death. I wouldn't want to make you sad. And then she lifts her head up and she's like, what? Then I say, I killed him. And then she's like, oh my God. And then I say, want to get out of here? And then she's like, yes. And then we leave the church and drive away into the sunset. Okay, so making this video, I was kind of like stuck in between if I wanted it to go in kind of a funny way or like an actual serious way on how I would actually write a good small town murder mystery drama with the Stranger Things characters. But as I was like planning this video, I was like, how in the world am I gonna show footage that like doesn't exist? Like if I were to actually like form a story in this small town, like I would have to just get a bunch of stock photos, stock footage, like I already kind of did through this video already. And I was like, I don't know if I could really like go in too deep on making a serious story, because I don't know if it's kind of boring if the camera's just on me and I can't show footage, because obviously this is all made up. So to make up for that, if you guys actually want me to write like a serious small town murder mystery story that isn't like, you know, a goofy thing like this, let me know. But I also have another thing that we could do as like this little community. If you guys take my concept of the Stranger Things characters just ending up in a small town and then, you know, Mike's dad getting murdered, from that point on, I want to see if you guys can write a pretty solid story that isn't like goofy like the one I did. If you feel like giving it the time of day, write your own story, post it in the comments. I'll read through them. Just don't make it like a billion pages. Just kind of like bullet point it, or at least like give paragraph summaries on like, these are the new characters and these are the suspects. This is the drama that's going on. Just stuff like that. I'll read through it, and if there's enough of good submissions down in the comment section, I might do either a follow-up video or do a live stream where I pick like the top 2 stories, read it on stream, and then reveal the way I would have wrote it if I took this serious. You can make up your own characters, by the way, the Susan and the priest. Like, you can implement them if you want, but like, I'm not saying you have to use my same characters. I just want to see what you guys can come up with. I think it could be a fun thing we can do. I'll post in my community tab the live stream and when that is. So make sure you turn on notifications as well so you can see the community tab post. Anyways, if you're new to this channel, feel free to subscribe. Check out my other videos. I only have like 4 videos and they're pretty strange. Seriously, thank you. Goodbye.